Meghan Markle signed a new podcast deal, and suddenly everyone on the internet is a podcast expert. And while I have prior podcasting experience, I decided to talk to an expert. This is Rebecca Lavoie. She is the co-owner of Partners in Crime Media. She also works for NPR up in New Hampshire. Their main staple is Crime Writers On, where Rebecca is one of the co-hosts. Trust me, she knows her shit. She's also been in the industry a long time. I asked Rebecca about both the Spotify deal and the new Lemonada deal. What she told me, and I am paraphrasing, is that Spotify was a really excellent deal if you need to get cash fast. The problem, though, is that it limits your audience. Remember, when Meghan and Harry signed, just like other big names on the Spotify podcast roster, Spotify had exclusive rights. It was only published on Spotify, the platform. It couldn't be on other platforms. And the quality is questionable. As Rebecca told me, the sound was bad on Archetypes. And this is someone who knows sound. What Rebecca had to say about Lemonada is that they do a fantastic job creating podcasts with regular people and also celebrities. Quote, "Their shows actually sound good and have good editors," end quote. According to Rebecca, this is the best chance that Meghan Markle has to make a quality, successful show. I think there are several reasons why Meghan perhaps went with Lemonada. For starters, it's female founded. And it has some big names attached to the company, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who has a successful podcast with Lemonada. So Lemonada is going to be producing, editing, distributing this show across all platforms. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those platforms where people listen to podcasts. Also, having access to more ears means more people will listen to ads, which is better from an ad revenue standpoint. And I've had people say to me, well, if Archetypes was so successful, why did they leave Spotify? Or why did Spotify let them go? There are bigger things at play here. Spotify really tried to corner the podcast space the way they did with music, pouring $1 billion into this venture and signing some very big name celebrities to very large contracts. And while this was reckless spending, Spotify did turn a profit, their first ever, in the third quarter of last year. This has not been without casualties along the way. Mass layoffs, consolidating its studios, letting go of some other big name podcasts like Heavyweight and Stolen. The Sussexes weren't the only people to part way with Spotify. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama also did the same. You can tell they're rethinking how they're doing this because even Joe Rogan, arguably their most popular podcaster, has a new deal which allows it to be distributed on other channels. But there's a lot of reasons why you pick one particular podcasting company over another. It depends on what you want to prioritize, and it might not always be the people that are offering you the most money. Because whoever worked out the exit deal from Spotify, or if it was in the original contract, Meghan has ownership of Archetypes. That's a big deal. Although we don't know the topic yet, she is going to host a new podcast show as well. It's a good reminder that just because you haven't heard of something or heard of a company doesn't mean that they aren't good.